Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm having a real nervous day. It also is 4 years today that my mom passed away, and I didn't realize that until I saw someone else's video that their mother had passed. So I'm jittery and in pain, but I'm feeling like I want to talk, and I can't get my thoughts together about how I want to say it. And that's one thing in my life that I've had trouble with is getting my thoughts together and knowing who I am and how I feel. And because a long time ago, I was emotionally abused. Some physical here and there, but it wasn't a big deal about that. It was just about 4 times maybe. I could totally remember when my dad left a 4-finger handprint on my cheek. I can remember when he threw me down on the ground and ripped my suspender outfit. And it started to become where it was going to get physical, but I got kicked out. So these books that you're staring at are a lot of them that I had purchased myself after I had gotten kicked out. But a lot of them weren't till years later. These are more of the newer ones. Before I had a child with autism, I had a lot of trouble in my life, and I never could figure it out. I was always told that I was too sensitive and things like that. There's so much I wish I could say. And as I'm saying this, the purpose of the video is for me to hear myself, to try to understand it. It's not to make anybody feel bad for me or anything like that. It's only to help others who may have been through it or are going through it now. And at the age of 47, like myself, still haven't really figured it out. But as each day goes by, things come into your mind and these little clues and stuff, and it starts to come together, or reminders or anything, good and bad. My family ended a long time ago. And when I did live at home, there wasn't much of a family. And my dad kept us away from all of the family. He tried to make it to where my mom wouldn't even talk to her sisters. He was the type that you'd be afraid of. He would get red in the face and spit when he yelled. He was kept to himself all the time. He never hugged and kissed you. He didn't do anything. You would see when he hugged my mom, he just like tapped her on the back. It wasn't like true. It's hard to explain. My mom was always a mess, and actually when she did leave home, which was an accident that day, I was actually happy she left. I had already been out of the home. I begged my mom and dad to co-sign for me on the apartment. And my dad had just been recently laid off, but he had his profit sharing money, and so it showed they had money in the bank. And I kept saying, well, how are they going to know if, because this is after I get kicked out, then I come back to beg to get an apartment because the boyfriend that I had been living with, I wanted to get away from him. I wanted to get away from everything. I had a job by then. I had 2 jobs, and I begged them to co-sign for me. And I think really what happened is my mom forged my dad's name. So I don't think he knew, but he didn't care, because when I ended up finding a second boyfriend, here's what my dad said. He said, good, let him move in. Oh my God, I already had my apartment, Good, let him move in. It's like he wanted somebody else to take care of me, and he never took care of me himself. It's just hurts my feelings. And that's the same relationship that's carried out till now. That hopes of one day your dad will love you. One day your dad will be proud of you. And I wish that would all go away. And I think that's what brings on, ever since a young kid. I was spending the night at people's houses at 8 years old. I was never home. I could list every single friend, and I think I did in another video. I was just never home, and the friends started saying, the mom started saying, I'm going to have to start charging your mom and dad rent for you to be here, because I was there every single day, and I spent the night both weekend nights. I would never go home, and I did not want to go home. I didn't like it at my home. I didn't like the way I was, like, not talked to. I didn't like the way I was talked to, if ever. You know, don't hold the fridge open. Quit running the water. What are you doing? How come your towel's here? Why is this there? Why is that like that? On and on, to where that's all you heard in your brain constant. And even to the point where when I finally moved out, I was having panic attacks, paranoia and everything. I didn't even know how to live on my own, but I needed to. When my boyfriend wasn't there anymore, you know, I was by myself, which then led me to 3 months later of meeting someone new, and I was having panic attacks as I met this one and going to counseling and everything. And it can become really hard when you're abused. It could lead you in so many different places, and you don't even know who you are, and you're disassociating and everything. It got to the point where I was missing work, but my boss was really understanding. And I wouldn't miss too much. But when I would get this, I was having the dizziness way back then. I feel all along, and I still have it to these days, but it hasn't been this bad since 2007. Now it's 19. It started last year, the same month, because I really believe I have really bad allergies, and I also have whiplash. That was never treated right. I couldn't afford it. It's like chronic, where it pops up whenever it wants to, and I'm sure stress has a lot to do with it. Why wouldn't it? So today, I just decided out of nowhere, I wonder if they have any videos on YouTube, like, you know, where I could go back and try to figure this stuff out. Because I didn't have medical insurance for 10 years. I've had it now for 2, but it's Medicaid and it's cheap. They don't cover the help I need. I need, like, somebody to deal with trauma and, like, say, the complex PTSD and things like that. These people aren't qualified enough. They're just social workers. The psychiatrist that you see just to get your meds, he doesn't talk to you, and he tells you to talk to your social worker, and he won't take any time, and he's, like, very qualified. That one was. And the one I saw on my own when I was way younger, before I even had a kid, she was awesome. I finally got medical, real good job, taking care of disabled adults, and I got medical through there, which was great, and it only paid $7 an hour, but the medical was great. Here in Michigan, they don't pay, but $7.50. They may have went to $8 now, but I think it's still $7.50, and there's a maximum that you can make taking care of the disabled people. That's why when we had the community living service and stuff come to the house these days for autism, they were only getting paid same thing, $7.50 an hour. And the hours in the state, they have dropped down. You would get 9 respite hours a month, or was that a week? 9 respite a week, but like 15 community living service to where they would come in the home. But they changed it to where you just always had to be in the home while the people were here. So you couldn't leave. It got real weird. And my son wasn't ready for all this at all. He would spit in their face, he would kick at him, he would do everything. It was just very, very overwhelming. And I believe me, it went on and on and on. And we had different workers and everything. Finally, I thought about getting a male, but see, that's getting all into him. But so today I searched signs of being emotionally abused from parents. And you know what? I feel funny because when you watch it, it's almost like a little kid's thing, you know. But I'm stuck back in that little kid thing, or at least I have the effects of what I didn't get as a kid, you know. I feel like I just had no direction, didn't know who I was. I was always living for my parents. They were always making me get involved in their arguments, and they would argue every single day to like 3 and 4 in the morning. And my dad's alarm would then be going off just a couple hours later, and he had that beeping thing on, and he would never hear it, and he was always late for work. And I can't believe that he never got fired. Oh, so then I would hear the alarm and everything else, and then mine wouldn't have to go off till 7, and then, it's like that's why I was late for school. I have not slept, I bet you, good my whole life. Because then when autism came in, the kid never slept till he was 10 years old. He never slept through the night till he was 10 years old. I mean, I am just lacking. It has taken away my life. It has taken away because my sleep. And when you have to work all the time to then take care of your autistic kid, you're always having to work just 24/7, having 2 jobs at a time, and selling shit on the side on eBay and picking shit out of dumpsters just to survive. My boyfriend was stuck on pain pills for 5 years, and he has MS right now, and he has, what's the other thing? It's hereditary spastic paraparesis. He's on disability. But he didn't get disability till 8 years later. Long story. That's another story. Him being on pain pills was very terrible. He was addicted, very terrible. Going through autism, having an addicted boyfriend, which is his dad, so we've been together. When my mom was here, I stayed with her a few times. Didn't know if it was going to work. We never married. More guilt comes on you. I'm afraid of marriage. Plus, I couldn't get married because I had to make sure my son had medical insurance for all these years. Forced to do little lies to the people that would possibly give you insurance. Stupid shit that you were forced to do because you couldn't live any other way. You needed it. Or you would have been homeless. Which I'm sure a lot of people do anyway. I see people out there, they have $500 shoes and just they have everything, okay? It's just, I'm not jealous, it's just that I see that they get things in the wrong way. But here we go into another long damn story. And you know what? I should just end it right now and then do a part 2, but I think I'm just going to continue. And thank you for listening. And if you're going through any kind of abuse, I am so sorry. My advice to you would be to get out if you could as soon as possible. Don't think that it's going to get better. If you have anywhere to go, just escape, really. Get some help and as soon as you can and escape and try to if you can, go to counseling. Try not to turn to alcohol and drugs, and stay with somebody you don't even know, even if they'll let you. Be real careful, though, you don't get mixed up in some other shit. So when I watched this video, 10 signs of emotional abuse from parents, I feel like a little kid when I'm watching it, but I tell you what, every single one of them were good. I'm going to read the 10 off. Then I'm going to go back and reread them and just kind of put some stuff into it, if you don't mind. Thanks for listening. Number 1, you experience random emotional outbursts. 2, you are overly affectionate to strangers. 3, aggressive toward others and animals. 4, you have little to no friends. 5, you aren't confident about your future. 6, you constantly repress your emotions. 7, I wrote these down. You don't know who you are. 8, you often seek validation from others. Number 9, you're highly self-critical. And number 10, you experience a lot of guilt. I experience guilt when I just walk into a store and walk out and not buy anything. They're going to think I stole something. Because I was always accused of shit. And I'm sick and tired of being accused. So yes, the stuff that happens to me in my life today is affected by the way I was brought up. And I've been trying, and that's why you're staring at these books, because I have even more books than this. They're on the shelves in the other room. A few different Bibles from different people, like a Joyce Meyer Bible. I got the King James Bible. I got the New International Version. I've even went online and I've seen part of the Quran. I've even... You can read online the Devil's Bible. I forget what it's called. I wanted to type that in again. But I read just a chapter of it, and it's just strange as hell. So, yeah, it is. It's strange. But I was looking for things. I was trying to find things out. I was wondering if I was crazy. Like I was always accused of being, like, sensitive and emotional and all this shit. Well, my opinion was, if he wouldn't have been such a dick, if he would have showed me some love or done anything for me, I mean anything, that would have been very helpful. I saw my friends' parents. They were so much different to them. It was so strange. That's why I liked being at my friend's house. All of my friends that I spent the night at. Sue, Karen, Christina, Tracy, Krista. I think I'm forgetting some more. Even with my second cousins, I stayed for the whole summer. 2 years in a row, I believe. I didn't want to go home. Their parents made me feel more like a child and loved than my own parents did. And my brother even says that I never loved him. I never paid attention to him. I always hated him since when he was born. That's what he says. That's not true. So, when they say number 1, when they say you experience random emotional outbursts, the times when I do that is, say I'm being attacked by someone, like online or anything, and I don't think I do it much anymore. And if I do, I try to do it, nice. I try to have their feelings in mind when I do it. Mostly the outbursts went towards my family. When they're saying rude shit to me, I get aggressive. You tear up easily when you're emotional outbursts. You tear up. I put it all inside, and I just used to kind of cry on my own, in my car, at my job, away from people. I kept it all in and cried. I wouldn't cry in front of anybody because my dad always said girls aren't supposed to cry, which that was a total crock of shit. I thought it was boys, but then now that I'm older, it's all right for everybody to cry. So see, I just get pissed at my dad, and he's full of BS. He's just... Number 2, you're overly affectionate to strangers. Yep, still to today. Lucky I haven't been out of the house much in 4 years, but if I would go pick up a pizza or anything, I'd be just getting in a conversation with people at the pizza place or the gas station or just anything. I think life is boring without talking to people. I don't see the sense of it if you don't have any people that you talk to. I don't get it. Although I've put myself in my own world, and I've not been talking to people much, except since this YouTube picked up, and I thank all you guys for that. Thanks for the support and everything. But yep, easily affectionate to strangers, and super kind to people you haven't known for a long time. And it says because you never received the unconditional love, and you're trying to make up for the cruelty by nurturing others, never wanting others to experience the same trauma. And that is the damn truth. And you develop empathy. So that was number 2, you're overly affectionate to strangers. Number 3, aggressive towards others and animals. I don't think I was ever mean to animals. I mean, but when our dog was around, it passed a few years ago, right after my mom. I felt like he followed me around too much, so sometimes I would say, "Go," because he'd be like right at my feet. You know, it just, I needed space, but I loved my dog, and since I have allergies, I tried to pet him, but I would have to wash my hands right away. I don't know, I got a problem with getting my feet dirty or my hands or something. I don't know. I've just got sensory issues, I guess, just like my son. I don't know. Number 4, you have little to no friends. I used to have a lot of friends when I was younger, in my teen years. I used to have a lot of friends to where they were getting mad because I wasn't spending the night at their house, and they thought I liked the other people better. I did have a lot of friends until I had a son, and then I had to give all my attention towards him because he was autistic, and we had just so many problems. I wasn't able to have friends, so I'm kind of really confused on that one. I don't know if it's... But it says you isolate yourself and you feel shy, so I do that. I feel afraid and shy to do anything, just like making videos. I think it's actually bringing on some anxiety and nervousness, because yesterday after I did the live, I got the super bad headache. But I have issues and problems with my neck and my back and everything anyway, and the dizziness. I think it's all linked together. Number 5, you aren't confident about your future. Nope, not at all, and even more today I'm not. It only got worse. I don't feel I have a future. At least not one to get paid doing. It says, your parents criticized, belittled, and dismissed your feelings. That was all the time. You may become pessimistic. Yes, I'm pessimistic. I get where I just don't... I don't really trust things, but that all comes from my dad. I don't know, there you go again. Sometimes it's easier just to keep to yourself and not even say nothing, but then, you know, you're repressing it, and that's the next one. Number 6, you constantly repress your emotions, and I do. I kept it all inside still to this day, but see, now when I do try to stick up for myself, when you do try to stick up for yourself, it comes out kind of aggressive sometimes, and you don't mean for that to happen. It's because when it says number 6 that you repress your emotions, it says like the kids grow up in fear. The parent didn't create a safe space for you to cry. So my dad always told me not to cry. I never could cry. If I did, he called me a baby. He constantly called me a baby all the time, and he told me I was too sensitive. And then I guess I thought in my mind is that's why he doesn't want me around him at all, which is just... And I was always trying to get his approval and everything, and he wouldn't. He would just stay out in the garage all day because he works on cars, and I don't know. See, and that's what it says, afraid of doing something to upset or anger the parents. They bottle up their feelings. They sometimes turn to drugs and alcohol. Well, I started drinking when I was 14 years old. We'd go out to this party every weekend. My friend's parents, this was a different friend, when they would go bowling, so we'd all have a big party at her house. I don't understand how she could have ever got it cleaned up, although we helped her. It cleaned up before they came home. And how didn't the parents smell the cigarette smoke and the alcohol and everything? But, they drank too, and they were at the bar. Maybe they just didn't notice. I don't know. Well, that's where I cut my lip open, though, because I had a boyfriend at that time, and he bit me in the ass, and I fell on a weight bench. So it cut open my lip all the way through. Lucky I didn't bust my teeth out, because I was so buzzed. I don't know. I had stitches. I'll show you the scar one day. It's still there. Every time I look at it, I gotta remember about my ex-boyfriend, which was his dad was an alcoholic, and so was he, and he got a drunk driving and everything. It was just, the people I was around. Oh, you'll go to the wrong crowd. But that's the only people that were in my neighborhood. What was I supposed to do? I tried to get involved with I guess you would call them the preps at my high school. They were into football and things, and they got good grades, and I pretty much got good grades too, but I was always a nervous wreck all the time, and I didn't really fit in with them. I wasn't used to their lives being so good, with them planning their college, and it took me so long to study even for a test, and I had to write it on the bottom of my shoes. Little key. It wasn't the answer. It was this little keywords for me to remember. I'd write it on my hands, the edge of my notebooks. You weren't supposed to have anything on the desk when you did the test, but I would put the little key things, and I don't know. Number 7, you don't know who you are. Feelings like you're stuck in limbo. Your parents raised you to be codependent. The parents were controlling and emotionally manipulative. Yes, they sure were. To the point even where my dad didn't even want us to be around the family. I don't know. It's probably why I snuck off. I stayed out late, and I would sneak home, and I would sneak in the back door and shit. I don't know. Number 8, never had. It says, you often seek validation from others. And I constantly do. I constantly still do. Because I don't feel like I'm good enough. You lack self-confidence, you're people-pleasing, and that's the thing right there. I don't even have that book there. It's not here. Joyce Meyer has people-pleasing. Oh yeah, that's right there. It's in the approval addiction. You need to please everybody, see? So that's where I went with all this shit. It says you make up white lies and stuff. I don't do that I know of. I don't make up white lies. I don't try to get attention from anybody. I'm just one that I just go off and be with myself. I don't think it's I don't understand the point of making up the white lies just to get attention, because that's not me. I hate lies. I've had to lie a few times to, government and shit like that, and I just hate lies. I like to be honest, and that's why I make these videos. Then I'm afraid I'm too honest, because that's what my dad would tell me. You're too honest. Don't talk to anybody. Don't tell them anything. And it's just like, oh my God. I don't know. It's just real twisted. Number 9, highly self-critical. You become a perfectionist. The parents put a lot of pressure on you and as a child, and they sure did. Unrealistic expectation is like totally so true. I wasn't even old enough to be able to figure out the things, and I told you in one of the other videos, my dad, the one day he made me sit in the kitchen all the time, which was right next to my room, and that's why I would hear him up all night. I would put my headphones in and just listen to music, and I would listen, and I would cry, and it's just stupid, but he kept calling me in the kitchen every time to tell me who's right and who's wrong, me or your mother. My brother didn't have to go through any of this shit. He was 4 years younger. It was always me, and I always had to be the mediator. And no matter what I would say, I was always wrong. So it didn't make sense to me why I have to come in there and I would never say who was right and wrong. And why are you putting me through this? I was thinking in my mind, and how unfair it was and how fucking wrong it was and everything else. So then one day I told him, "You're both right." And he stood up, red in the face, spitting everything, scaring the fuck out of me, telling me, we both can't be right. And I wanted so badly to just then change it and say, well, then you're both fucking wrong. And I wanted to swear. But I knew if I did, how it ended up later on when I finally did, he, I knew if I did that, it would be, I'd really get physical abuse, okay? Because one day when my dad would always tell us all the time we had to be quiet in the house. We never could make any noise. We would wake up my mom or whatever. If the door, God, we would have to make it just shut so quietly. You walked around on eggshells all the time. You couldn't turn on the water. You couldn't look in the fridge. You couldn't shut the door. You couldn't do shit. So that's why I just stayed in my room all the time. I always stayed in my room. And my dad would take the phone off the hook all the time, so I couldn't even fucking call anybody. It's just bullshit. Always working yourself to the bone. See, highly self critical, you're always working yourself to the bone. That's why I have been working ever since I was 15 years old. I needed a note from my parents to work on the slicer at the meat market because if something happened to me, they didn't want to be sued. And that's what I did. Before that, though, I had a lady across the street offer me a job, office cleaning. That was my first job. It was so awesome. I felt so important. I felt so good about myself. I had this whole office to myself, very, very small, but it made me feel great. I can't remember how much she paid me. I'd go once a week. I could either go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I went on Sundays. I went once a week. I think I made 50 or $60. I don't know. And as a kid at 16, back in what, 1988, it was a lot of money. So I actually had that once a week, and then I had the meat market, and I also had the Dairy Queen. I just worked myself down Gratiot. And then next thing you know, I was working at the bowling alley. Next thing you know, I was working at the furniture store. I mean, I worked on Gratiot the whole time. All my jobs were on Gratiot. Then I went out, more. But, you knew the whole area. So when you got the newspaper route, you pretty much, later on, you pretty much just knew where you were going. I don't know. So, and then number 10, the last one is guilt. Experience a lot of guilt. You have guilt issues. It says when kids try to establish boundaries with their parents or seek emotional support from others, the parents guilt trip them. And this is what my dad would do. He knew I was feeling so bad. He knew how he treated me. He just had to, and he wouldn't let me talk to any of the family. If he ever found out that you told anybody anything, you'd be in deep shit. I mean, I was grounded a lot. That was because of my dad. Then my mom would always let me off grounded. Then he would get pissed at her, but it was bullshit. I should have never been grounded in the first place. It was just, I didn't do anything wrong. He's the one who made me do something wrong by saying a wrong word because he would make me have to sit and say who's right and wrong, and it's bullshit. And then he'd guilt me, and then we just didn't go around the family anymore. I think my dad was afraid we were going to tell somebody. And the times that my mom did say stuff to her friends, because we would go off and read the Bible at her friend's house and everything. And that's what all the arguments would start, because when we come home from the friend's house, he would say, "What did you tell her?" And if I could come home, "What did you tell them?" Or it would be like, when I got my car, "Don't let anybody touch this car. No, don't even open that hood. I don't even care if it's on fire. Don't even open the hood for anybody. Don't tell anybody anything. Don't let them fix it." All kinds of shit. Just total fear. So you just lived in fear. You lived in fear. It's really scary. It can be really scary. So thanks for listening. I wanted to share this with you, and I feel really, scared to do it. I don't know why. But I have to do it for me, and I have to hear myself go through it. And even as I'm talking, I'm a nervous wreck, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit, there's off balance, you know, not right. You feel not right. But that's not why I get that vertigo, because that's when my ears start hurting and everything else.